Did you watch the debate last night?
I did not watch the debate last night.
Why was that?
I feel like you said earlier that people are disconnected from politics. I would find myself also kind of disconnected from politics. Just not really too. I don't have too much care for either of the candidates for president. Not really too active in politics, but I kind of observe it from afar, if you will. Just observe it from afar.
What political issues matter most to you?
I like social issues, right? Helping people. It's definitely a political issue that matters. I don't want to say that I am against high military expenditure, but I would say that it's really important. Military expenditure is really important, But I would say being for the people. I use it a lot as a comparison to my political views, but I feel like the JFK presidency was almost a perfect presidency in my opinion. There's a lot of just like connectedness with people, like trying to connect people as opposed to dividing them. That's something I want to see. And then also global cooperation. That's a big part. I think there's too much tension between countries now, and there's not enough effort to get countries to work together on things, as opposed to fighting over trade or fighting over space or fighting over land or all this. So I feel like global cooperation is a big one.
So what do you see as the biggest disconnect as to keeping you disengaged from the current election that's going on?
I'm just not seeing a lot of. They just don't seem genuine. A lot of the politicians now don't seem genuine. A lot of them also seem a little bit. They're old, right? They're a bit older, and then the ones that are younger kind of don't seem to have the oomph that that I would like to see. They don't have the oomph to be independent. They kind of follow with the like, for example, J.D. Vance is kind of following under Trump's footsteps. I don't really see him trying to make his own, even though he is vice president. I don't really see him trying to make his own statements. And then, yeah, just kind of the genuineness. I just don't see a lot of genuineness within politics now.
Those are some terms that I've heard thrown around a lot with younger people. A lot of them mention a term called the gerontocracy, which is basically like most people in the Senate are older than 50 years old, right?
Yeah.
Most people in the House are older than 50 years old. And then corruption, that's a big thing. Do you feel like our Congress is corrupt? Our president is corrupt? The system is corrupt?
Well, but the way Congress works is, you have a president in power. They nominate a congressperson. That congressperson serves for life. I don't necessarily feel that I don't feel like there's definitely corruption in our system, but I don't think it's as much as there is in other countries, so it's not something we should primarily be worried about. But the age is something that I feel like could be fixed a little bit.
Do you think term limits in Congress are a good idea?
Yeah, I'm not opposed to term limits. I think it's serving for life is I've thought about that before. I took AP US Government and Politics, and when I heard that congressmen serve for life, congressmen and congresswomen serve for life, I was like, wow, that's kind of...
So, congressmen in the Senate, you get elected for a 6-year term.
Mm-hmm.
In the House, it's a 2-year term.
Right.
The people in the Supreme Court
are appointed. The Supreme Court is the one that you're appointed for life, right?
Yes.
Okay.
But what often happens is people in Congress, once they're in the incumbent, they're way more likely to win.
Yeah.
So you get people like Bernie Sanders, for example, who end up serving since, say, 2006.
Right.
And they're still in office. There's no term limits. They might as well be in for life, right?
Yeah.
So there's that.
I mean, if they keep getting elected in, that's just the people's doing, right? They think that they're good. They think that they're beneficial to their causes, then they vote them in. They re-vote them in. They keep voting them in. That's kind of their thing.
Do you feel like having a binary choice is a big con to the current system?
What do you mean by binary?
Between a Democrat and a Republican? oftentimes that's the case. There isn't really very many third parties that get on ballots.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, I feel like there should be. I feel like the Democrats and the Republicans do dominate, and it's harder for people like independent candidates, such as Robert F. Kennedy, to kind of get out there and find funding. That's definitely a big one, is finding funding. Because as an independent candidate, if you're running for your own purposes. Meanwhile, Democrat and Republican, a lot of the times they push a lot of corporate views, or they support a lot of corporate views to get funding from corporate, so that way they appear on the ballots. I don't really know. It's difficult to say. It's just it's like once you have two big ones, it's difficult for the other ones to get in the space. They dominate.
Would you call it a duopoly of power?
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
I would say it's kind of a duopoly of power. I would agree with that.
I'll ask you one more question. So, where do you get your news from? And then how often do you check those sources or that source?
I don't check the news that often. I think the news is a little bit too depressing for me. I like to wake up and enjoy my day, right? So I don't want to hear about all the bad things that are going on. I'll check it every once in a while for stocks. I usually get my news, when I do read the news, it'll be Apple News, sometimes it'll be New York Times, sometimes it'll be CNN, sometimes it'll be from Fox News, just everywhere, right? I try to fact check myself. If I'm looking at Fox News, I'll check CNN. If I'm looking at CNN, I'll check Apple News. If I'm checking Apple News, I'll check another source. So, and then a lot of independent writers. I'll do a lot of I'll look at a lot of independent articles on things that are happening now.
Gotcha. How much does social media play into what your outlook is?
I'd say a lot. I'd say social media influences me more than I'd like. Right? If I see something on social media, I'll try to double check it, but it definitely has an effect. Right? You're scrolling through it on hours a day. You see things here, you see things there. People saying this, people saying that.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.